smart enough to be a part of this thing called life, and how I would cut and burn myself because I got pleasure out of that, and how I used to worship, sing, and all that. So that's where this comes from, and I just was overcome by that by the blood of the Lamb. I am a survivor. I've been through the storm of despair, depression, and attempts of suicide. I've been through the storm of abuse of every kind. I've been through the storm of neglect, heartbreak, and pain. What I've been through is almost into death, but know that I survived. I could not be more ready to share my story than I am now. Look, I stared death right in the eyes, but I survived. I jumped on the bull of death, but was held on by life, and yet I survived another day. I was caressing the gun while it was at my own face, but I survived. It was a stimulating feeling because I was so at will to die. I could feel my adrenaline building as life as I knew it was going to pass me by and be no more. The very life that I, for years, was trying to escape was finally going to end, but I knew my life was not going to end by some man's hands around my throat. I knew my life was going to end, but it was not going to end by me overdosing on coke. I was just ready to say bye-bye to this presumptuous world because I was bound too long, I fought too hard, and I cried my last tear. The power was now in my hands as I was gripping this ice coldness to steal, kill, and destroy my own soul. But I was not going to die by a man. I was going to kill myself. My very motives were evil towards me. My heartbeat was a murmur which I was hoping would cause my death. Then I would gain the victory because I was unhappy with life, didn't understand being a wife. I was full of strife, and all I could think about was death. I was running a race, but no one was running but me. I was repulsive to the saying I could be all I could be. I was not at liberty to live in my best because I was my own enemy, as I did not realize my life was just a testimony. I vowed that I could not change, but was it that I would not change because I feared I would always be the same? Even when others saw me at my best, I would always put my worst foot forward to end up with my foot in my chest. Death and I were a daily game I played. Death and I were like Sylvester and Tweety Bird. I was after death, but it would always end up in a cage, and how I didn't die was simply amazing. At that point, I started to think I was invincible. The fact that I survived this long is incredible because the way I saw life and the way I lived it was despicable. It was like nothing was getting better. I didn't know why. I kept questioning God every time I would cry, and I finally heard a voice speak. It's the pain in my eyes, which means things are not the way they seem. It was a deception of lies. A deception of lies is power out of control, but I got comfortable with sin, and only God knows how deep my sin was. I was full of sin, full of pride, could not confess my sins, so my sins I would hide. And every time I had an opportunity to come clean, I would stay quiet and stay glued to my seat, hoping no one would notice me. While all along, God was trying to get my attention, so he kept sending the missionaries to witness. They kept telling me God loved me and he has not forsaken me because he cared. And even though I seemed alone, God was right there. And it was only because of his grace and his mercy that my life was spared. Come to find out, God had something in me that I could not see, but the devil saw it, so he was using me to destroy me. The devil saw that I was worthy. I can say it myself now. I know that I'm worthy. Worthy of the ground that I stand on to stand against life adversity because I am made in God's image. I am now at liberty to be the best I can be because I am a reflection of Christ, and through him, he has made the impossible possible for me. He showed me in his word that he died for me. And the moment that I accepted Christ as my personal Lord and Savior, that moment made me impeccable. So the life that I live prior to this day for me is no longer regrettable. And like my husband Will Rock was saying, it's these new shoes, man. It's these new shoes. So I'm no longer walking shameful about my past. This moment only made possible by my healthy dad. Every moment that I breathe is now a spiritual brag because if I did not live my life the way I lived it, I would not have a story. Glory be to God that we overcome by the words of our testimonies. Glory be to God.